Hi, I'm Laura Sievers, and I'd like to tell you about my son Luke. Luke is 23 years old, and his diagnosis is autistic and mentally disabled. He graduated from Columbia City High School last May after 19 years in the Whitley County school system, having started his educational experience at the age of 3 in the First Steps program. A few summers ago, in anticipation of Luke's graduation, my husband and I enrolled Luke in the summer adult daycare program at ARC to help him prepare for the transitions after high school. At that time, we didn't know of any other resources available to Luke, so we thought the adult daycare program was really our only option. We worried about such a program only because our perception of a daycare program is that more or less they just care for his daily needs, not necessarily teaching him or pushing him to learn new things. Luke is severely developmentally delayed, and we strongly believed he was not done learning yet. And Luke had always been exposed to a very structured schedule during the day while he was in school, and we recognized that this wasn't only what he was accustomed to, but it was really the setting he needed to continue to learn. He requires structure, repetitiveness, and consistency. Because Luke is nonverbal and has a limited way of communicating, we quickly realized the adult daycare program was not really conducive to his continued learning. But again, we didn't know of any other options, so we hoped the signs of his resistance in attending each day was merely due to the environmental changes he was experiencing, and eventually he would settle in. Sometime around the latter part of August was when we were told by Jessica McBride and Danielle Lyons about a new transition program being considered for the young adults at ARC. The program was described to us as a daily structured educational program for young adults all around the same age with various ranges of disabilities. During the presentation of the new program, we were encouraged to ask lots of questions, which I did. And as I recall, we were one of the first families to raise our hand and say, "Where do we sign up? And more importantly, how soon can the program start?" And as I recall, within just a week or two, my son was one of the first to start in the new program. Now, as I mentioned before, my son has a limited way of communicating, but on the other hand, there is no doubt in anyone's mind when my son is happy and when he's not. He will let you know. And within just a few days after starting the transitions program, Luke went from being agitated and upset when pulling into the parking lot at ARC to, "Get out of my way, Mom, I have people to see and things to do." Not only did the program make him a happier person, and me too, by the way, according to my husband, but he started showing encouraging signs of getting it. And when I mean getting it, with an autistic, they have problems thinking through a two-step command. For example, if my son's shoes are in a second room, I can't just say to Luke, "Luke, go get your shoes." I have to say to him, "Luke, go to your room," and then I have to say, "Luke, get your shoes." And I have to say this numerous times until he can process it. But what I started noticing is that Luke seemed happier, and he wanted to get it. And he seemed more engaged, and he was able to think through a two-step process more often. Not only at home, but when I picked him up in the afternoons, I started hearing stories from the staff also. For example, Luke would sit at a table with his peers as they played a game or put together a puzzle, or he showed interest in sitting at a computer in the computer lab, whereas before he would prefer sitting off in a corner by himself on the floor. These were all new things for him. I can honestly say there hasn't been a single day so far that he has not been happy to go to ARC. But I have to admit one thing, this transition program has set the bar pretty high for his parents. On the weekends, we are scrambling now to find creative activities. It's hard for me not to be emotional about this program. I'm not sure everyone understands a parent's mindset when having a special needs child. We have a child born to us with special needs, and our first thoughts are, what now? We somehow find our way to a First Steps or a Head Start program, which leads us to the school system, which is where we stay for a very long time. We aren't thinking about the future. We can barely think about what today holds for our child, let alone tomorrow. Then the years fly by, and when we suddenly realize that our child is no longer eligible for the school system, we're back to the question, what now? I feel so blessed that we found ARC, and feel even more blessed that ARC recognizes our needs. When Luke was born 23 years ago, it was estimated that 1 in 10,000 children were born autistic. Now, depending on the statistics you read, they're saying 1 in 130 births are autistic. In my opinion, that's an epidemic. I think the mere growth of this transitions program can attest to the need out there for not only autistic children, but for the other young adults with disabilities. Oh, and let me mention one other godsend from ARC. They started an after-school care program. As for 2 working parents, this was the final answer to our prayers. Up until then, we were struggling with making arrangements with our employers and trying to work with transportation companies without much success. And ARC recognized our needs and blessed us with an after-school care program.